Hello and welcome to I24 News Sports Weekend Edition with some of the best stories we had in our magazine this past week. We begin with motorsport. The 2014 MotoGP season finally began. The Qatar Grand Prix was the place for the season opener. The question on everyone's mind was whether defending champion Marc Marquez could race with a broken leg. After all, he did miss some of the preseason training due to his injury. Well, what was his answer? Another podium. Ori Baum with the details.
A new season in sports is always a road to a new beginning, but also a trial for champions, keeping their momentum and testing their winning instinct. The 2014 MotoGP season was no different, as the best motorcyclists in the world gathered in Doha for the Qatar Grand Prix. Marc Marquez, the defending champion, was in question for the first race of the season, after breaking his leg during a training accident in Spain in February. During the first two practice days at the Losail International Circuit, he seemed to be lost in the shuffle, as fellow Spaniard Jaffa Port was the fastest on both occasions, while Marquez finished only 11th and 5th. But the 21-year-old world champion shed the rust and bounced back from the disappointing start, looking comfortable again on his Honda and claiming pole position for the 10th time in his short career.
It will be hard for me because when I do many laps, I getting tired, especially because I cannot push with the leg. But anyway, I will try to do my best.
The real test for Marquez came in a perfect time, as the first race of the season was a crash fest. Former world champion Jorge Lorenzo was out when the front end of the bike went from under him. And Stefan Bradl, who had a promising lead early in the race, slid out after only 8 laps. Afterwards, the race became a duel between the young Marquez and 6-time world champion Valentino Rossi. The two were battling it out, as the veteran Rossi was trying to edge his younger opponent, but Marquez proved he was made from championship material and prevailed, winning the race, claiming his 7th career win in the MotoGP circuit.
The battle with Valentino was so great. I enjoyed a lot. Last lap I pushed my 100%, but lap before we overtake 2 or 3 times. And you know, since last year that I didn't have a battle in the last laps with Valentino, and last year he won.
Marc Marquez showed that even with a broken leg, he is still the best in the world, and it will definitely take a lot to beat the world champion this season.
And joining us now in the studio is I24 News Culture Magazine presenter and an avid MotoGP fan, Oded Grober. Hi, Oded.
How are you?
Fine, yourself?
Great, wonderful.
Oded,
such a beginning for the season. And what could be wrong?
Exactly, and we look at this. I mean, we speak so much of experience, of the importance of training, and then comes this 21-year-old kid who did not practice because he's injured, and he wins against Valentino Rossi.
Yeah. No doubt. Look, he's not a world champion for no reason. You know, he has a wonderful season. Last season was great for him. He did win just by a few points over Lorenzo, but he was there and he held his own, and he knows when to bring his A game, and he brought his A game to the race. He also did it at the qualifying. You know, he started from pole position, didn't have a very good start, unlike Lorenzo, who came from the second row right to the lead, but unfortunately fell on the very first lap. So, you know, Marquez did a wonderful job. It was a great battle. He's so right about it.
I think another thing, he was able to handle the pressure. Let's remember, he's 21. We speak of him as an experienced champion, which he probably is, but he's still young. But he handled the pressure of, you know, people are now looking up to him. It's not like last season when he came from behind.
Right.
Now everyone expects him to win. He comes injured and he does it.
He does it very well, no question about it. Look, just to be young is, sure, you don't have as much experience, but maybe you're a little bolder. Maybe you have a little less to lose, you know. Rossi,
you take some turns which you may not take if you're with 30-something.
The fact that Rossi is able to stay so relevant and still, you know, come in second.
I think he's young as well.
Yeah, he's young at heart. He's young at heart, no question about it. But it was wonderful. You know, last year they did the same thing as Marquez mentioned in the press conference. They did the same thing. Only last year they were both behind Lorenzo. Yeah, and let's not forget that Lorenzo was up front.
Lorenzo, yeah. Dani Pedrosa is still up there.
And Dani Pedrosa is still up there. You know, 2 Hondas on the podium with Rossi's Yamaha. Lorenzo, by the way, said after the race that he fell because of his mistake. You know, we heard before the race began, before the season began, he was
quite a crash. We saw that.
It was a very, yeah, it wasn't very. I wouldn't like to find myself in that sort of crash, but he He said that he simply made a mistake, that it's been a few years since he made such a mistake in the race itself, and so he's taking full responsibility for that, which is nice to see. I'm sure that we'll see him on the podium many times throughout the season. I just hope that Rossi will be before him.
Well, so many names. Valentino Rossi, Jorge Lorenzo, Dani Pedrosa, and of course, Marc Marquez. As you said, Oded, if this is what happens in the first race of the season, there's so much more to look for.
Yeah.
Oded Grober, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
And after winning last year's championship, Marc Marquez participated in a commercial promoting Lotus watches. This, of course, is not a rare example. Big brands look for the big names in sport to be their presenters, paying big money for their image and popularity. When they're successful on the court or on the track, everybody's happy, but it's a risky business. One wrong play, or even worse, a PR mistake, and you will be kicked out in no time. Lies Barenbaum with the story.
Can we get a Pepsi?
You'll have to play us.
You know who we are?
Do you know who we are?
It seems that athletes nowadays have become walking billboards. A recent example is Pele, who made a promotional World Cup tour through 90 countries on behalf of Coca-Cola. The American beverage company, which has been partnering with FIFA since 1974, hammered home its marketing discourse for the 2014 World Cup as happiness in a bottle. In an everlasting need for new customers, advertising brands choose athletes for their positive image and for qualities like good physique, dynamism, and team spirit. In the 1990s, tennis players were a popular choice, but nowadays football and rugby players are among the advertising leaders. One example is Sebastian Chabal, whose masculine look is perfect for men's fragrances and car brands. If athletes are traditionally used to sell sports equipment, today they can sell anything. The greatest advertisement specialist these days is David Beckham, who knows how to gain profit from his name alone. An ethical issue is sponsorship rewarding when remunerating athletes. In case of victory, the athlete wears the colors of his or her sponsor and increases its reputation. Brands compete for creativity when staging champions. The common point to all these ads is usually humor and self-deprecation. For instance, Barcelona star Leo Messi has agreed to be mistaken for a singer by the mother of a fan in a supermarket.
Tú eres el cantante este, el de... No, no. Ah, no, eres John Harrison, el de la serie de vampiros. No.
While French tennis star Jo-Wilfried Tsonga promotes chocolate bars with lots of passion.
Ah, je vois que vous avez un...
Un peu de gâteau? Il est délicieux.
Non merci, c'est un peu trop pour moi. Je crois que je préférerais le...
Un biscuit?
Spanish striker Fernando Torres does not hesitate to hang up his boots and get in the kitchen.
Perfect, with Samsung.
Another winning strategy is to gather stars in order to create a buzz, an advertising gimmick which is done time and time again.
Cissé, Kaká, Zidane, Beckham, Defoe, Kahn, Nesta, Beckenbauer.
The most recent memorable advertising campaign for sports fans remains the commercial which puts two megastars on an airplane, Leo Messi and Kobe Bryant. Female athletes are also good sellers. Advertising agencies many times create ads especially adapted for female champions. On the other hand, big companies like Nike try to destroy these kinds of cliches, putting women in the spotlight.
Honey, where's my shoe?
But when scandals tarnish the athlete's image, sponsors may decide to get rid of them. One example is French striker Nicolas Anelka, whose national team's poor display in the 2010 World Cup cost him a sponsorship deal. When Brazilian striker Neymar made jokes against tourists in a TV ad for a soda beverage, he was attacked by a parliamentary committee in Brazil. Apparently, there are some things which are not a laughing matter.
Paris Saint-Germain is about to win the second successive title in France, but the club from the French capital wants to also make an impact on the European arena. How can they do that? Money. Big money. Some of the salaries paid in PSG and also in rivals Monaco are now among the top in European football. It's yet to be seen if this will be enough to bring success, but some harsh criticism is already heard in France, as Lies Barenbaum reports.
France doesn't have to be ashamed anymore about the salaries given to its football players. This year, 4 players from Ligue 1 are competing with the biggest football stars, as 3 PSG players and 1 from Monaco made a sensational debut in the world's top 20 best footballers. French champions Paris Saint-Germain also made progress, becoming the 5th richest football club in the world. Although Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar receive over 25 million euro wages per year, Thiago Silva already earns 15 million euros per year, whereas the injured Radamel Falcao receives 14. The new French league stars are now part of the richest footballers in the world. Zlatan Ibrahimovic tops the list with a salary of 18 million euros per year. The Swede makes 1.5 million euros per month, along with bonuses and advertising contracts that add up to 23.5 million per season. One person who was shocked at the time by Zlatan's transfer from AC Milan to PSG was former Marseille manager Elie Bo.
We are in a sort of excess. I know today that Michel Platini in his European financial fair play is going to have a huge amount of work to do in relation to this club. This is such an imbalance. I have no comment to make. Financially, this is a great imbalance.
For some politicians, such salaries are simply outrageous in the age of an economic crisis.
These figures aren't impressive, they're indecent. They're indecent at a time when all over the world people are making an effort, where everyone knows the terrible consequences of the crisis which the financialization of the economic world has provoked. That same financialization seems more and more present every month and every year in football.
However, such salaries are stagnating. In 2014, wages barely returned to the 2008-2009 figures. In France, the average footballers receive 35,000 euros per month after taxes. TV rights have experienced a significant downturn as they influence most of the footballers' wages. Knowing that their career is 4 times shorter than that of any employee, the ratio is less impressive than it seems, but there's no need to worry about the players as they earn 5 times more than the average citizen. Nevertheless, the gap widens between the segment of stars and other professional athletes. Of the 20 best paid players in France, only 4 are from Paris or Monaco. Examples can be set in the case of Lyon stars Yoann Gourcuff and Bafétimbi Gomis, who earn 7.6 million euros and 3.5 million euros each for their efforts on the pitch. But even these figures can't compare to those of American athletes. Zlatan's salary is peanuts in comparison to the 53 million euros made by Tiger Woods, or LeBron James' 44 million euros. But unfortunately, these kind of athletes are not likely to play in Europe anytime soon.
And joining us now in the studio is i24 News football analyst Yoav Borovic. Hi, Yoav.
Hi, Jonathan.
So, Yoav, I think it's a bit early to judge for Monaco because it's the first season they're in the top league with this new ownership. But as for PSG, I think we can say that they're successful also in Europe. Let's remember, last season they didn't qualify from the quarterfinals, only on away goals against Barcelona, and now they stand quite a good chance against Chelsea.
They won the championship last year. They're leading the league this year by 10 points.
Very comfortably.
Number 2 is Monaco. Money eventually buys you success. We saw it with Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United. You know, the big teams where the big money comes in, there's usually success.
And of course, it's interesting to see perhaps how the fans react to it. Of course, we're fans. We love it when big money comes to our team. But then we saw the Manchester United fans not so in love with the fact that the Glazers coming in, because they say these people, they don't have anything to do with this club legacy or with football at all.
Right. United fans were actually quite disappointed that the Glazers did not put more money into the team. It's a complex issue with the fans because, first of all, as you said, fans of a team where a lot of money gets into the team and success comes in big names, they like it. They love it. The other fans, not so much. You know what fans really like is competition, and they like the sense of justice in football because it's a game of everyone. And when we have those like small clubs that suddenly become huge clubs just because of money, it changes the game. You know, it really distorts the game. We see, you know, Chelsea since Roman Abramovich are always in the top 4. They won the championships. They won the Champions League already.
They were a good team before, but never one of the top teams in England.
And Manchester City as well. You know, a failing team for many years. Now they're giants, you know, and they beat other European teams. We saw with Berlusconi and Milan in the late 80s.
I think, though, the question is what will happen if those people one day are fed up and go away? Look at what happened to Malaga.
Right, it happened in Malaga. You know, here in Israeli soccer, it happened in a few teams. Yeah. We saw with Arkady Gaidamak and Beitar Jerusalem. So it can happen, and then everyone we see it in Russian football a lot. You know, Anji Machatchkala, huge sums of money coming in and then going out. Because, you should ask yourself, what are those people, those billionaires, what do they want? Because I think, they just want fame. They want their name enhanced, and it's a toy. And, with toys, they're great in the beginning, but after that, you get used to the toy.
Point,
you want another toy.
You're fed up with a toy.
You're fed up. So that's why, Roman Abramovich still puts in the money, but he doesn't go to all the games. He's the exception.
And obviously, it's going to be very interesting to see if those people have the patience to put in more money into the teams. Yoav Borovich, thank you very much for being with us. And that's it for this Weekend Edition. Don't forget you can watch this and every other edition on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend.